Hi everyone, welcome back to Learn English Beyond Words. I am John.
And I am Carol. We are your English teachers. Today, we are talking about something that is much more important than passing a grammar test. We are talking about using English as a real-life tool to build relationships.
Exactly. You see, you can have perfect grammar and a massive vocabulary, but if you do not understand English culture, you might accidentally offend someone. You might sound angry when you are actually trying to be friendly.
Language is not just about translating words from a dictionary. It's about connection. Being polite in English opens doors. It helps you make international friends. It helps you pass job interviews. And it makes people want to talk to you. Today, we will show you exactly how to soften your English so you always sound respectful and professional.
Stick around until the end of the video. I'm going to ask Carol why native speakers use the past tense to ask for things in the present. It used to confuse me so much, but her explanation completely changed how I speak.
It is a fascinating grammar rule. And before we finish, we will also show you the exact phrase you need to say no to an invitation without breaking someone's heart or ruining a friendship.
Before we jump into our conversation, let's look at 3 essential phrases we are going to use today. These are B1 to B2 level expressions that completely change the feeling of your sentences.
Phrase number 1, would you mind? We use this to ask someone to do a favor for us. It's incredibly polite. Notice that the verb after mind always needs an ing. For example, would you mind helping me?
Phrase number 2, I'm afraid. In this context, afraid does not mean scared of ghosts or spiders. We use I'm afraid to introduce bad news softly. It's a very sophisticated way to say I'm sorry, but...
Phrase number 3, actually. This is a great filler word. In English, actually does not mean currently or now. We use it to gently correct someone or to add surprising information without sounding aggressive.
Direct versus indirect English. Let's start with the biggest culture shock for many learners. In many languages, being direct is perfectly normal, but in English, especially in the US and UK, being too direct feels aggressive.
Well, that is a great point, John. Native English speakers love indirect language. We do not like to give commands. We like to ask questions, even when we really want someone to do something.
Give me an example. Let's say I'm sitting at the dinner table. I need the salt. The salt is next to you. If I translate directly from many other languages, I might say, give me the salt.
If you say, give me the salt to an American, they will look at you with wide eyes. It sounds like a military command. It sounds like you are the king and I am your servant.
So how do I fix it? Do I just add please? Give me the salt, please?
Adding please helps, but it's still a direct command. To sound truly native and polite, you need to change the command into a question. You use modal verbs like could or would.
So I should say, could you pass the salt, please?
Exactly. Could you pass the salt? Or would you pass the salt? By turning it into a question, you're giving the other person the freedom to say yes or no. You're respecting their choice, even for something as small as the salt.
Ordering food and drinks. I see this mistake all the time in restaurants and coffee shops. A student walks up to the counter and says, I want a coffee.
Oh yes, I want is a phrase we usually reserve for small children. I want a toy, I want candy. When an adult says I want to a waiter or a barista, it sounds quite rude.
I mean, you are paying for the coffee, so technically it's a transaction, but English culture demands politeness everywhere. So what is the adult B1, B2 way to order?
You have 2 beautiful options. Option A is using I would like. Native speakers usually shrink this down to I'd like. I'd like a large black coffee, please. I'd like the chicken sandwich.
That sounds so much smoother. What is the second option?
Option B is using the future tense with will. We shrink I will down to I'll have. I'll have a glass of water, please. I'll have the pasta.
I'll have. I love that one. It sounds very confident, but still perfectly respectful.
Next time you go to a restaurant, delete I want from your brain and replace it with I'll have. Professional cold emails and requests. Let's take this into the professional world. Actually, I have a personal example for this. I've been sending out a lot of cold emails recently. I'm trying to transition my video editing workflow and get some international clients. I use Adobe Premiere Pro and I really want to work with creators overseas.
That's an exciting project, John. Cold emailing is difficult, especially in a second language.
Exactly. If I email a busy YouTube creator, I need them to send me their raw video files so I can edit a sample for them. If I write, "Send me your files so I can edit them," that sounds terrible, right?
It sounds like you're their boss. If a creator receives an email saying, "Send me your files," they will probably delete the email immediately. You have to soften the request.
This is where our keyword preview comes in. Can I use "would you mind"?
Yes, would you mind is perfect for professional emails. Remember the ING rule. You could write, "Would you mind sending me a few raw files so I can create a free sample for you?"
That sounds amazing. It sounds like a friendly invitation, not a heavy demand. What if I want to ask them to schedule a video call with me?
You can use "could you possibly." This adds an extra layer of softness. Could you possibly jump on a quick 5-minute call next Tuesday? The word possibly tells the other person that you know they're busy and you respect their time.
Saying no without saying no. Okay, Carol, what happens when the situation is reversed? What happens when I need to say no to someone? I feel like just saying no I can't is too direct.
You are absolutely right. In English, a direct no can feel like a slap in the face. We like to soften the blow. We use the bad news cushion.
A cushion is a soft pillow, so we make the bad news soft. How do we do that?
We use our second keyword phrase, "I'm afraid." Imagine your colleague asks you to work late on a Friday. You want to go home. Do not say, "No, I will not work late." Say, "I'm afraid I can't stay late today. I have a family commitment."
I'm afraid. It sounds so professional. Let me give you another scenario. I'm a big motorcycle guy. I love riding. Let's say a friend invites me on a massive motorcycle road trip next month. We're going to ride all the way down to Peru. It sounds amazing.
That sounds like an incredible adventure.
It does. But my Guayama needs new tires and I have to work. I cannot go to Peru. How do I decline his invitation without sounding like a boring friend?
This is a classic situation. First, you must show appreciation for the invitation. You validate the other person's kindness.
You start by saying, "That sounds like an amazing trip and I'd love to go."
Okay, so I start with the positive, "I'd love to go," and then I add the bad news.
Yes, but use a soft connector. But I'm afraid I won't be able to make it this time. I have to work and my bike needs repairs.
So the formula is appreciation plus "I'd love to but" plus reason. I would love to go to Peru, but I'm afraid I can't make it this time. That's brilliant. It protects the friendship perfectly.
Disagreeing and correcting mistakes. Let's tackle another uncomfortable situation. What do you say when someone makes a mistake and you have to correct them, like your boss?
Oh, correcting your boss in English requires very careful vocabulary.
If my boss looks at a spreadsheet and says our sales are down this month, but I know the sales are actually up, I cannot just say you are wrong. I will lose my job.
Never tell a native speaker you are wrong unless you're looking for an argument. Instead, use our third keyword, actually.
Actually, how do I use it in the meeting?
You use it to gently introduce the correct fact. You say, "Actually, I was looking at the numbers this morning and our sales are up by 5%.
That sounds so much better. It sounds like we're on the same team.
You can also use the phrase, "There might be a slight mistake." Instead of blaming the person, you blame the situation. Do not say, "You made a mistake on this document." Say, "Actually, I think there might be a slight mistake on page 3.
You use the word slight to make the mistake sound small, and you use there might be instead of there is. It removes the aggression completely. The past tense politeness trick. The hook revealed. Okay, Carol, it's time to fulfill the promise we made in the hook. This is something that confused me for years when I was studying the mechanics of English.
I know exactly what you're going to ask about.
Why do native speakers use the past tense to ask for things that are happening right now in the present? For example, if I go to a hotel reception desk, I often hear native speakers say, "I was wondering if I could get a late checkout." Why "I was wondering"? They're wondering right now. Why don't they say "I am wondering"?
This is one of the most beautiful and interesting features of the English language. It all comes down to the concept of distancing.
Distancing, making space between things.
Yes, when you ask someone for a favor, you're putting pressure on them. To be polite, you want to reduce that pressure. You want to give them space.
So, how does the past tense create space?
By pushing the grammar into the past, I was wondering, you're creating a psychological distance. It feels less immediate. It feels less demanding.
Wow, so I want a late checkout is right here in the present. It is heavy, it is hot. I was wondering if I could get a late checkout pushes the request back in time. It cools it down, it makes it soft.
Exactly. The past continuous tense, I was hoping, I was wondering, is the ultimate tool for high-level politeness. Let's say you need to ask your teacher for more time on an assignment. You can say, I was hoping I could have an extra day to finish my essay.
That sounds incredibly respectful. The teacher will definitely say yes to that. So, for our learners watching right now, if you want to ask for a big favor, start your sentence with, I was wondering if, or I was hoping if. You will sound like a native speaker with excellent manners. Well, if you were wondering if you should click the like button, the answer is yes. If you were finding these cultural tips helpful, please give the video a quick thumbs up. It really helps our channel grow and allows us to keep making these masterclasses for you.
And if you want to keep learning how to use English as a real-life tool, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We love having you in our community. Now, let's wrap up today's lesson.
We covered a lot of psychological and cultural ground today. Learning how to be polite in a new language is a massive step in your journey.
It is true. When you move from I want to I would like, or when you start using I'm afraid instead of a flat no, you're not just learning grammar, you're learning diplomacy.
And please remember this, native speakers know that you are learning. If you accidentally use a direct translation from your native language and you say, give me the salt, we usually understand that you do not mean to be rude.
Yes, we hear your accent and we know you're doing a difficult job translating in your head. Do not be terrified of making a cultural mistake.
But as you continue to practice these soft phrases, the modal verbs, the cushions, the indirect questions, you'll notice a change in how people react to you. People will smile more, people will be more helpful.
You are building bridges with your words. Keep practicing your cold emails, keep ordering coffee with I'll have, and do not be afraid to speak up.
You are doing an amazing job. Be proud of the work you are putting in every single day.
We are your smart friends, and we're always here to guide you.
Stay curious, keep building those connections, and we'll see you in the next video.
See ya! Have a fantastic day.